know what it means to lose something you love? I don't mean losing a toy, or a book, or even a piece of candy. I mean losing a little heartbeat that walks beside you, that curls up on your bed at night, that purrs when the world feels too heavy. My cat, my little companion, my furry shadow, vanished, and I swear to you, I felt as if part of me had been ripped away. One day he was here, chasing imaginary monsters through the living room, climbing the curtains like a miniature acrobat, demanding food as if he were the king of the house. The next day, he was gone. At first, I thought it was one of his usual games, his way of hiding behind the furniture to make me nervous. But as the minutes stretched into hours,
do you know what it means
and the
to
hours
lose something
became
you
the
love?
weight of an entire day,
I don't mean
I felt
losing
my
a
chest
toy,
tighten,
or a
book, or even
Fear
a piece of
crept in,
candy. And fear is a
I
cruel
mean
guest,
losing a little
because it
heartbeat
brings
that
its
walks
cousins,
beside you,
doubt, that
despair,
curls up on your
and
bed at night,
hopelessness.
that purrs when
I
the world
searched
feels
everywhere,
too heavy,
under
the bed, in
my
the wardrobe,
my
behind
little
the
companion,
garden bushes, my furry shadow.
I called
vanished,
his name
and
until
I
my
swear
throat
to you,
ached.
I felt as if part of
Nothing.
me had been ripped away.
Only silence.
One day he was
And
here,
silence,
chasing
when you
imaginary
love,
monsters
is the
through the
loudest
living
noise
room,
of all.
climbing the curtains
Then,
like a miniature
as if by
acrobat,
accident,
demanding
I noticed
food
the
as
ground
if he were
behind
the
the
king
old
of the
tree
house.
at the edge of the yard.
The next day,
There
he
was
was
a
gone.
hole there, a long,
At first,
deep,
I thought it was
merciless
one
pit
of
I
his
had
usual
never paid
games,
attention
his
to
way
before.
of hiding behind the
And in
furniture
that
to make
hole,
me nervous,
faint
and trembling. But
I
as the
heard
minutes
it,
stretched
a meow,
into hours,
a
and the
cry.
hours became the weight
Not
of an
just
entire
any
day,
cry,
I
the
felt
cry
my
of a
chest
friend
tighten.
who
knows he cannot
Fear
save himself.
crept in,
And fear is
I
a
ran
cruel
to the
guest,
edge,
and
because
when I
it
looked
brings its
down,
cousins,
my heart
doubt,
shattered, despair,
and
there he was,
hopelessness.
my poor cat.
I searched
stuck
everywhere,
at the bottom,
under the
his
bed,
eyes
in
wide,
the wardrobe,
glowing in the
behind
dark,
the garden
his little
bushes.
body shivering. I called his
He
name
had
until
fallen
my
so
throat
far
ached that even my voice seemed
Nothing.
to take years to reach
Only
him.
silence.
I whispered,
And silence,
hold on, when
please,
you love,
hold on
is the
for me.
loudest noise of all. But what can whispers do
Then,
against
as
fear
if by
and colder?
accident,
I noticed the
I
ground
wanted to
behind
jump
the
in,
old tree
to
at
climb
the edge
down,
of the yard, to stretch my arms
There was a
until
hole
they
there,
reached him.
a
long, deep,
but the hole was
merciless
too
pit
deep,
I had never
too
paid
dangerous.
attention to before. My legs trembled
in
at
that
the
hole,
thought, faint and trembling.
I am small,
I heard
am a
it,
child.
a meow. Yet my love for
A
him
cry.
was taller than mountains. Not just any cry,
Still,
the cry
love
of a
without
friend who
strength
knows
is
he cannot
helpless.
save himself. I could not do it
I
alone.
ran
to the edge, and
So,
when I looked
the
down,
firefighters
my heart
came.
shattered. Big men,
There he was,
strong, my
with
poor
ropes
cat,
and helmets
stuck
and
at the
courage
bottom,
hanging from
his
their
eyes
belts.
wide, glowing in
They
the
looked
dark,
into the hole
his little
with the
body
seriousness
shivering.
of
soldiers going
He had
into
fallen
battle. So far that
And
even
me?
my voice seemed to
I
take
stood
years
there,
to reach him.
useless,
Powerless,
I whispered,
chewing
hold
on my
on,
own fear.
please,
Hold on
please,
for me. I begged inside
But what
my
can
heart.
whispers
Don't
do
let him
against
slip
fear and
away from
cold
me.
earth? Don't
I
let
wanted
this
to
story
jump
end in
to
grief.
climb down, to
And the
stretch
people
my
came,
arms until
too.
they reached him. Neighbors,
But the
strangers,
hole was too deep,
faces I
too
had never
dangerous.
seen before. My legs
They
trembled
gathered,
at the
whispering,
thought, watching,
I am
holding
small,
their breath
I am a
as
child.
if the world had
Yet my
paused,
love for
and
him
all
was
that
taller
mattered was
than
one
mountains.
small life at the bottom
Still,
of the hole. Love without strength
I wondered,
is helpless.
is
this what makes us
I
human?
could
not do it alone. That we stop and care,
So, the
even for a
firefighters
creature
came.
that does not speak our
Big
language,
men,
but
strong,
speaks directly
with
to our
ropes and
hearts,
helmets,
and courage
the
hanging
ropes
from
went
their
down.
belts.
The
They
hands
looked
reached.
into the hole with the seriousness of
cried,
soldiers going
scratched,
into battle, fought his fear with
And
every
me?
ounce of his little strength. I stood there, useless,
And then,
powerless,
oh,
miracle
chewing
of
on my
miracles,
own fear.
He was lifted. Please, I begged
Higher,
inside my
higher,
heart, until
don't
the
let him
sunlight
slip
touched
away
his
from
fur
me.
again. Don't let this
Until his
story
paws
end
were
in
free
grief
from the darkness.
and the people came
Until
he
he
was in my arms. Neighbors, strangers,
do you know what it feels
faces
like to
I had
hold
never
back
seen
tears
before,
because
you're afraid they will
They
drown your
gathered,
joy, whispering,
That
watching,
was me,
holding
clutching
their breath,
him,
as if
feeling
the world
his
had
heartbeat
paused
against
and all that
mine.
mattered was one
My
small
body
life
shook
at
as
the
if
bottom
the
of a
earth
hole.
beneath
me had crumbled,
I
and I
wondered,
was holding
is
on
this
to the
what
only
makes us
thing
human?
left in the world. That we stop
And
and
the
care,
people clapped.
even for a creature that does
Mr.
not
Magoo
speak our
clapped.
language but speaks
The
directly to our
firefighters
hearts.
clapped.
The
But I
ropes
heard
went
nothing.
down. The
For
hands
me,
reached.
the
applause was silence.
My cat cried,
and the silence
scratched,
was love. Fought his fear with
Because
every
this
ounce
is
of
what
his
I
little
learned.
strength. Fear tastes like
And
metal
then,
in your
oh,
mouth, miracle
and
of
hope
miracles.
feels like fire
he
in
was
your
lifted.
chest.
And when you love, really love,
until the sunlight touches
that even
fur
the
again.
smallest creature can
Until
turn you
his
into
paws
a
were
giant,
free from the
giant
darkness.
capable of begging heaven
Until he
itself
was in
for
my
mercy.
arms.
I thought
Do
of
you
how
know what it
close
feels
I came
like
to
to hold
losing
back
him,
tears
how
because
close
you're
I
afraid
came
to
to
having
having
an
an
empty
joy.
space where his paws
That
should have
was
echoed
me,
on the floor.
clutching him, feeling
And
his
I asked
heartbeat
myself,
against mine.
why do we only
My body
understand the
shook
weight
as
of
if
love
the earth
when it
beneath
almost
me had
slips
crumbled,
away?
and I was holding
Why
on to
must
the
we
only
taste
thing
despair
left in the
before
world?
we truly appreciate
And
joy?
the people clapped. People looked at me,
Mr. Magoo
their
clapped.
faces glowing with relief.
The
But I could
firefighters
not
clapped.
stop speaking,
But
even
I
if
heard
only in my
nothing.
mind. For me,
I told
the
myself,
applause was
remember
silence,
this,
and the
Mafalda.
silence was love. Remember that
Because
life is
this
fragile,
is what I learned.
that joy
Fear
hangs
tastes
by a
like
thread,
metal in your
and
mouth,
that sometimes
and
all
hope
it
feels
takes
like
is one
fire in
accident,
your chest.
one fall,
And
one
when
hole
you
in
love,
the ground
really
to remind
love,
you of
you
the
discover
infinite
that
value
even
of
the
a heartbeat.
smallest creature can turn
And
you
now,
into a
as I
giant,
stand
a
here
giant
with him in my
capable
arms,
of begging
I
heaven
promise
itself
you
for
this,
mercy.
I will never take
I
him
thought
for
of how
granted
close
again.
I came to losing him.
I will guard
how
him
close
like a
I came
treasure,
to having an
cherish
empty
him like
space
a
where his
miracle.
paws should have echoed on the
Because
floor.
that's what he is,
And
a
I
miracle
asked
wrapped in
myself,
fur,
why do we
rescued
only
from the
understand
abyss?
the weight of love when
So
it
clap
almost
if you
slips
want.
away?
Cheer
Why
if
must
you
we
must.
taste despair before
But
we
let me
truly
stand here
appreciate
in
joy?
silence, with
People
my cap
looked at
pressed
me,
to my
their
chest,
faces glowing
whispering
with
only
relief.
for him, but I could
You are
not
safe.
stop speaking,
You
even
are
if only
home.
in my mind.
And you are mine.
I told myself, remember this, Mafalda. Remember that life is fragile, that joy hangs by a thread, and that sometimes all it takes is one accident, one fall, one hole in the ground to remind you of the infinite value of a heartbeat. And now, as I stand here with him in my arms, I promise you this, I will never take him for granted again. I will guard him like a treasure, cherish him like a miracle. Because that's what he is, a miracle wrapped in fur, rescued from the abyss. So clap if you want. Cheer if you must. But let me stand here in silence, with my cap pressed to my chest, whispering only for him, you are safe. You are home. And you are mine.